Hey there, everyone. Welcome back to Empowered Educator. And as I am recording and releasing this today on June 23rd, we are 1 week away from the launch of the Uncommon platform. So excited about this, y'all. I have been working this week on designing the list of courses that will be available for the month of July, creating a few new courses, tweaking a few of the courses that are ready, and they are fire, let me just tell you. And it made me just keep thinking about how profound this site is going to be. I was meeting with someone today who is in a different line of work, but we were in a network together and we hadn't caught up for a while. So we scheduled a meeting. And as I was sharing this with him, I could see his face light up. And he said, he works in the financial services world. And he said, when I go into schools to work with teachers on their retirement funding and different things, I get a feel for the climate of the school within minutes. He said, I get into those teachers' lounges. He said, I always bring them lunch. And, we pre-schedule our appointments. And sometimes I can tell when a teacher is so frazzled because they come in feeling so overwhelmed. And the message is, thank you for the sandwich. I'm going to have to cancel our meeting today. He said, they take my free food, which we're known for that, right? Educators. And then they run off. And then I watch them for the next little bit, and they are truly running. He said, I wish I could give them a pair of roller skates because they're just going and going and going and going. And I was telling him that that is really one of the underlying reasons why I started this platform, because there are great opportunities for staff development out there in the world. We've got some amazing staff developers. We've got some great consultants out there. But the problem is that you have to pay so much money to go to these trainings, and schools just don't have the money. And clearly, we as teachers don't have the money. Or you have to spend time away from your students. And you're already feeling behind and overwhelmed. And then you have to prepare for a sub and be away. And then you have to deal with the aftermath when you return. It's just not worth it. And then in addition to that, people think, okay, that's fine. We'll offer all of this training in the summer, which in theory sounds like a great idea. But in reality, that's our time. We get paid through the entire school year for most districts in the United States, but we don't get paid for the entire school year. We get paid for a certain number of days of work, which is the school year. They just stretch it out over a 12-month period. And I don't know if people understand that. Although we're getting the paycheck, we're not getting paid. Now, I was all about if my district was going to send me to a training and they wanted to pay me, hey, I'm going to go do that, right? But that's not how things work anymore. That was in a time of plenty, and we're not in a time of plenty right now. So this platform is going to change many things for educators. And although all of the training, well, not all of it, most of the training, my daughter does one of the trainings for the month of July, but most of the training is being provided by me. That's not how it's always going to be. I'll be bringing in guest trainers to be able to provide you with their perspective on things as well. So it's going to be pretty great. But when I think about it, I think about who exactly is it for? When I started my business, I said that I was going to give people $1 million experience for an affordable price. As a matter of fact, I met with one coaching company to purchase my own coach, right, for myself. And they said that's not possible. And after a discussion, I realized that they were not my people because anything is possible. Does it mean I'm going to become a millionaire? Probably not, right? But that's not my goal. My goal is to influence and impact. My goal is to have an option for teachers so that they do feel supported, so that they do feel prepared, and so that they don't leave the profession. And I want to do this at an affordable price. That's my goal. If it means I have to continue to work my 9 to 5 job, then I continue to work my 9 to 5 job. If it means I continue to have a tutoring business on the side, then I have the tutoring business on the side. But the goal in this is to build educators who, like the name of the platform, are uncommon. So what makes us uncommon? That's what I want to talk about this week. I've already had a whole episode on the platform. You can now go to the website, www.uncommonedu.com. You can check everything out. You can get on the wait list. You can connect with me. You can message me. We can have those conversations, but that's not my purpose today. My purpose today is to talk about what makes an uncommon educator. Now, clearly, and if I were a third grader, I'd probably say the answer to the question, what is the opposite of uncommon, is common, right? So let's talk about what is common. A common educator in 2025 is someone who may or may not be certified. A common educator in 2025 probably didn't go through a traditional certification route, meaning they took education courses in college, earned a degree in education, had a student teaching or an internship that was supervised by an educator, passed their certification exams, and have the full certificate in hand. That's not common right now. A common educator probably in 2025 needs support designing or reviewing a lesson plan. A common educator may need support with behavior management. A common educator may not have the skill set to run their day, time management, organizational skills, planning ahead. We're in a place right now in education where the common of 1995, when I started, the common of 2005, when I became a principal, the common that we've been used to isn't the same. I was on a webinar this week with Texas Education Agency. It was a replay of the most recent educator preparation program support, listening to legislative updates. And they announced that they're working on getting everything signed off by the governor. Not everything is complete yet, but some of the bills that have gone through, there's one that says, districts, we got to figure this out because our current common cannot be common starting in 27-28 school year, meaning we're not going to be able to take uncertified educators into our classrooms as teachers. That's going to be rough. I left out in 2023, June, so the end of the 22-23 school year. I ran a school on the east side of Houston, 94% low socioeconomics, 65% Hispanic, 32 or 3% African American, and the last little percent, 2 to 4, mixed race or 2 or more races or white. I had to hire 4 uncertified teachers for that school year. Now, at the time, the understanding was these teachers had to sign a affidavit stating that they would be working on their certification within that school year to secure it so that they would be certified moving forward, or they may not be able to keep their job. But the problem is our common teacher isn't being prepared the right way to be able to pass the exams, to be able to withstand the stress level, and to have the skills to be able to actually get the results schools need to get. So they're either not being asked to come back or they're choosing not to come back. Now, do we still have uncommon educators within our systems? Absolutely. Y'all, these are your high flyers. These are your people, no matter where they got their certification. And even if they're not quite fully certified yet, they want to be the best version of themselves for their students. They want to be the teacher that kids remember. They want to be the team member that others come to them with questions and ask for support. They want to be the people that when the principal sits down with them to go over their evaluation, the evaluation is strong and they can be very proud. I know many of these educators. As a matter of fact, y'all, if you could ever get your hands on some of my former employees, chef's kiss, because you would be set up for a very successful classroom. I have men and women that left me after I left, or left my building after I left, that teach with heart, teach with soul, and teach with grit and perseverance. And when they don't know things, they ask for help. They seek out support. And they want to continue to grow even after 30 years of being in the profession, where one would think they knew everything already. That's the uncommon educator. Those are the educators we want to hire. And I'm not talking about just classroom teachers. Of course, I say teacher right now, but I'm also talking about the school leader, the assistant principal. The assistant principal that's not saying, okay, I got the assistant principal title, I'm out of the classroom, this is just fine. Absolutely no way. We're talking about the assistant principals that say, I want your job, principal. And although I respect you, I love you, and I'm your teammate right now that's going to ride or die with you, one day you're going to move on, and I want your position. And for those of you principals out there, same thing. I love this building. I love my people. I am going to do everything I can to stand up for them, stand with them, and support them from behind. But one day, I want to have more influence. I want to have better relationships. I want to produce more leaders out in the world. That's uncommon. We don't find that everywhere. And for me to talk with someone today that has been most recently in these buildings, who has no training on being a teacher, a principal, or anything to that matter, be able to say to me today, I have been walking in buildings where people care, and I have walked into buildings where they're there because it's a job. Y'all, go listen to my podcast this week, Leadership Lessons, that releases on Wednesday, the first 10 seconds. That was our rule. Our visitors needed to feel welcomed within the first 10 seconds because they make a decision that quickly about what the rest of their experience is going to be in that organization. And some people can't get past that first impression. I am one of the uncommon. 30 years in, and I'm still fighting the fight. I still get excited when kids are learning and growing. I listen and learn from others. I have changes in my plans when something's not going well and somebody gives me a suggestion that might work better. Now, would I say I've probably been there and done that to every situation? Pretty close. But it doesn't mean that I stop learning, that I stop growing, and I stop finding the best ways to support our students. Because we had a mantra in my first district that I ever worked in, and that was every kid counts. Every kid counts. The ones that we love, the ones that are easy to teach, and the ones that come to school and make our life, pardon my language, hell. They all count. And in my classroom, in my school, I never wanted to have a kid feel that they were the one that didn't matter. So my question for you this week is, are you uncommon? Because you could go be common, be average, be the norm right now. You're going to have a job. You're going to get paid the same amount of money, basically, unless your state has some kind of incentive program. You're still going to get your benefits. You'll still get the same days off. And really, you probably come on time and leave on time and don't give in any extra effort. That's not me. And I want to build a community of uncommon educators. So if you like what you heard today, definitely reach out to me. You can go to cheri.uncommonedu@gmail.com. I'll put it in the notes. Reach out. Go to my website, uncommonedu.com. Check it out and get ready, because this is going to revolutionize how we do school better. Oh, so excited. Thank you for joining me this week. I'll see y'all next week right back here on Empowered Educator.